Hi, everybody. Welcome to Capital to the Coast BNI. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you a local small business success story from one of our 40 chapters that stretch all the way from the Triangle, which is Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, all the way to Jacksonville and Greenville and Morehead City and all throughout Eastern North Carolina. Our goal, if you're not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our goal each week is to help our fellow members grow their business. And our local small business success story this week is Alana Morentin, the CEO and founder of Five Diamond Cleaning Service. Alana is in the Greenville chapter, Power East Networking Professionals. They meet Wednesday at 8 a.m. at Hooker Memorial Church on Greenville Boulevard. So if you're ever in the area and you want to meet some professional people and make some friends, please stop by. Alana, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Mike. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm good. My pleasure. So we talked before we came on here. We talked a little bit about the snow. So
Yes.
you're a snow person, but your dog got you out a lot yesterday, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So
Oh
you're
my, it's
good.
like he's a little sleigh dog. He just gets out in the snow and then he just zips on through and it's amazing.
Nice. Well, good. Glad you had some fun. So Alana is on site today at one of her clients' locations. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But Alana holds the cleaning services seat in the chapter. She does residential and commercial cleaning, move in and move out cleans, construction cleaning, and a number of things like that. So Alana, you got your business started with the residential side first,
Yes.
and when did
Yes.
you add commercial?
Actually, not many people know this, but my first contract was commercial. So the story was I started my cleaning business. I was cleaning houses for friends and they were bragging about my work, but I kind of started perfecting my craft. I used to work for an IT company and our cleaning lady had wrist surgery. And I took that as an opportunity. Hey, I could clean the office. And they agreed. And let me tell you, the first time I cleaned that office, it took me like 10 hours. And I thought I was going to make the big bucks. I was like, I spent 10 hours in here. I got everything caught up. And you wouldn't believe I got paid $60. And so I was like, oh man. And even my boss was upset for me. And I was like, wait a minute. $60. So how do if I was to charge hourly, what would that look like? And I was like, if I say $25 an hour, because I'm just starting out, $25 an hour, and they're paying me 60, how can I still do everything I need to do, but shorten that time? And for the next couple of months, is the first time I cleaned the office was 10 hours, and now I can get that office done in an hour and a half, and they're still a client.
My brother and I got into B&I first. My brother and I had a commercial cleaning office and business, excuse me. And one of our first accounts was a small doctor's office. And so we were walking, and the first time we cleaned it, we must have passed each other 100 times. And this is not a big office. So we had the same thought when we were done. It's like, hang on a sec. So we learned, first one into one of the exam rooms, turn the lights on, and we had a checklist for everybody. And the last one in there, when they're done, they turn the light off. So we know it's done, which kept us going in there 8 times and asking each other, hey, is this done? So I feel you on that. But that's part of the way you learn to grow your business.
Yes, and actually, I'm glad you mentioned the lights on, lights off, because that's exactly how I do a check and balance, especially when I hire people and they help me out on the job. Lights off means the room is completely done.
Yep. And once we added that into the evening's cleaning, things sped up real fast.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Because people don't understand how much time you can waste. You know, what if you're running back and forth to get a supply or anything like that, that is 1 minute. If you do it 20 times, that's 20 minutes wasted time. So it definitely teaches you time management. It definitely teaches you checks and balances, and that checklist is just very helpful because you can hold each other accountable for what's done and what's not done.
And then we learned who likes to do what and who doesn't like to do what, and that helped us fine tune it as well and got our checklist in order. And it's the little things like that matter because if you're cleaning 3 places in a day and you're wasting 20 minutes at each place,
You're there all day.
God, it does feel like it. Yeah. Always intrigued how business owners came up with their company name.
Okay. So, me and a couple of friends, this is when Five Diamonds was a concept. And me and a couple of friends was on the way to Atlantic Beach. And they was like, you need a name for your company. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And we were listening to the radio and Rihanna's Diamond song came on, the shine bright like a diamond. And my friend was like, you know what? Instead of 5 stars, do 5 diamonds because you're not shooting for stars, you're shooting for diamonds. I was like, you know what? Yes, because if it don't shine, it ain't clean. And it just stuck.
I like that. Were you surprised that was available on the Secretary of State website?
Yes. Actually, no. There are companies called 5 Diamond. So that's why my name is a little longer. 5 Diamond Cleaning Service LLC.
Gotcha. What was Plan B if that had been taken?
I don't think we got that far. It was just
It
divine intervention. It was just meant for me.
and did your friend expect any royalties for the first year?
No, she didn't. If anything, she expected me to clean her house for free for the first year.
You'd have rather given her royalties from other jobs, right?
I was like, girl, listen. But no, it ended up working out. And every now and again, she'll call me because I clean her house on an annual basis. And for friends, since I have the business, I do free cleanings for their birthdays, things like that.
When you first started on day one, it was just you, right?
Yes.
How long did
hmm
it take you to get to your first employee at any level of hours?
I would say, okay, so as of right now, it's still just me, but that's changing very soon, and we could talk about that later. But I would say the first year, because I started during COVID. I started when the whole world shut down. And this was when I was working a full time job and starting my cleaning business. And I would say it took me a year to get my first employee. And the reason why was because I was starting out. I never thought I'd be a business owner one day. And I was like, while I'm getting an unemployment check because I got furloughed from my job, now is the time to make any and every possible mistake that I could possibly make while I'm still receiving some sort of an income. So I could hurry up and learn from it. And that's exactly what I did. And it worked.
Did, did the cleaning idea come from that previous job where you took over the cleaning for the cleaning lady?
No, actually, the cleaning concept, no, everybody's laugh when I say this. It came from a breakup, actually. It started off with a bad breakup, and I'm not the stalk your ex on social media type. I'd rather make money. So so I was like, everybody's talking to, this was when everybody was talking about being an entrepreneur. And I said, maybe I should start a business too. I said, what am I good at? And at the time, that was when I was practicing making hair products at home. I did some extra research, saw how expensive that was gonna. I was like, oh, this is very expensive. It may not pan out. And I'm a single mom at that. And then I was looking around my apartment. Believe it or not, I got my very first apartment by myself when I was like 32. And I've always, I got married at 19. So I always lived with somebody. And I was so proud of this apartment. I deep cleaned it every single weekend. Had no furniture in it, but I could deep cleaned it every weekend because I was that proud. I was like, I got a place. I got it by myself. I didn't need help. And I just happened to look around. I said, I'm good at cleaning. So I started off with that. And then a long time years ago, I've actually was listening to a podcast, and he was talking to a bunch of genealogists, how if you looking down your family genealogy code, whatever profession that previous family members did, we're bound to be good at some of them, right? Well, both of my great grandmothers on my maternal and paternal side, they were housekeepers. And when I told my great grandma that I was doing this, she was like, "Okay, so I'm going to give you some pointers because this how these folks like it." And I just soaked it all in. And then she's like, "Now don't just hire anybody. That's how you lose your business." And I was like, "Okay." So yeah, that's how it started.
Well, hey, that's interesting though, because that's one of the questions I always ask, no matter what profession somebody's in. Is there somebody in your family tree that did that or has that skill set? And evidently there was. And that was good advice from your great grandmother. My
Hmm.
guess is, did you ever talk cleaning products with her? Because I believe they use all very different things way back when.
Actually, I did not. I did not get the opportunity to talk about cleaning products. That was something I had to figure out on my own.
Yeah, but there was
And
a lot of bleach back then.
oh, yeah, I know. Well, I tell you what, my clients definitely made sure I wasn't bleaching up the place.
Because everybody's different, aren't they?
Yes, they are. I have some clients that say use bleach, use bleach. And then I got other clients I hate the smell of bleach. So and it really depends on what genre they were born in. So my older clients, if it don't smell like bleach, it ain't clean. And then one of my clients, I actually had to break it down. She was like, "I want to smell bleach." I said, "Okay, so I have to ask you." I said, "A lot of the stuff in your home will be ruined by bleach. So when you say I want to smell bleach, exactly what do you want me to put bleach on?" And then she thought about it and she's all like, I was like, "And your stuff is pretty pricey. I don't think I wouldn't want to ruin it." And she's like, "You're right. Okay. Kitchen counters, bathroom counters, toilet." I said, "Okay, I got you."
And she probably learned that from her mother or grandmother, right?
Yes.
So your first client was a commercial job.
Hmm.
Your Once you got a couple of residential jobs, then you started networking, or how'd you get the word? But the day before you opened your business, officially or unofficially, how did you get the word out?
Okay. So the first client, the cleaning lady was the CEO's wife. And she came into the office and she's like, "Oh, Alana, I really liked how you clean." And she was like, "Could you possibly come over to my house? I want my kitchen cabinets cleaned inside and out and kind of reorganized." I was like, "Okay." And she was like, "How much do you charge?" And I came up 25 an hour. And she was like, "Okay." And she was like, "All right, cool." So we set up a date. I went over there and I did the job, right? I made more money, and it took me 5 hours. I made more money in 5 hours than I did working a whole couple of days for her husband. And I was like, "Wait a minute, there's something up with this." And I was like, "Wow, okay." So then I was like, "Hey, I want to pursue this." And I was telling my friends, and my friends, I've only lived in Greenville for a year before I actually started my business. So my friends started networking for me. "Hey, I got this friend. She's really good. We go to church together, da 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 da." And then, because they trust them, it was like, "Okay, well, we'll give her a try. We'll give her a try." And sure enough, they liked my work and I had repeats. And then, like I said, COVID happened. I got furloughed for my jobs. So it gave me the opportunity to really put myself out there and really talk to people because sink or swim. I chose to swim.
Now, looking back on that 25 an hour price, now that you know what you know, a little bit more of knowing what you know, was that too high, too low, or just right?
It was too low. It was too low. I basically, for the amount of work that I do and and just, attention to detail because it can be very tedious. It's very time consuming and it's just not enough. Right. So I would say back then I was, 25 an hour. I was breaking even. Yeah, I was breaking even. One thing about cleaning companies, as you should know, the supplies is very cheap depending on how you go about it. So I was spending 10, 15 hours on one property making 25 an hour. I was breaking even because you got to atone for your time, right? So then what I started doing instead of charging by the hour, I charged by the square footage because also another thing that even a client brought to my attention, how do I know that it really takes this long? How do I know if you're dragging it out just to make more money off? And I was like, and I considered those words and I said, you know what? But if I charge by the square footage, the size of the house will never change. And
Yeah.
so that so there, like the first like like that first contract that I got, okay, so if this is the square footage, I'm gonna make this much. Okay, so how do I make it worth my time? And then I start strategizing how I'm gonna attack this task and how I can make it more efficient. And then sure enough, the more I did it, the more I took notes. Okay, so if I do this, this, and this, I can do this. And I've learned, if I clean a room at a time, it's actually going to take me longer. But if I start in the main area and then do all the dusting, kind of pre-scan what I need to do, I have a mental checklist of how I want to attack this. And again, it makes better use
Top to bottom, back to front. I
of
remember those
right.
days. But a lot of people, just in your business, you think, oh, she just has to buy some cleaning products. Well, no, you have gas, you have insurance, you have,
Mhm.
things like that that a lot of people don't factor in. So the time you took to realize all that was a
Mhm.
tipping point for your business.
Right.
So now, what I learned way back when was a lot of people have no idea how big their house is. If you would ask them over the phone, like, oh, it's like, 1,800 square feet, and you give them kind of a price, and you get there, it's like 2,300 square feet. It's like, all right,
Oh
hang on a sec.
yeah.
So,
And
how do
then
you go about pricing?
okay, so first things first, when we negotiate a price point, I don't do it over the phone. I schedule a in-person free consultation. All of my consultations are free. Because advice or whatever, I don't have to charge for that. But if you want me to do the work, okay, this is what I'm going to do and this is how much it's going to cost. When they try to fidge the number, well, that's why we have Google. I literally input their address in Google, and then there's your square footage. And then and but also for those who don't want the entire home cleaned, for more accuracy, I have this little square footage device tool, kind of like the same tool that carpet cleaners use, where they measure the room and then I calculate it from
Yeah, it's yeah, it's spray. It goes north and south, east and west. Tells you 218 square feet. Love
there. Yep.
those because
Mm-hmm.
originally my brother and I would step things off. It's like, because golfers, a long step is 3 yards or 3 feet, which is a yard, stuff like that, right?
Yep.
And but you're like, give me and we bought one of those one day, and that changed everything for us too. So, but I like the fact that you go meet the client because they need to be comfortable with you in their house. But
Absolutely. And I
and
need to
then
be comfortable in theirs.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a good point too. Yeah. And but you got to find out what they really want, and you're not going to find that till you start asking them, like the lady with the bleach. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what are your expectations and stuff like that. So I'm
Exactly.
glad you do that, and glad you don't charge, because a lot of people would tell you, well, I'll get back with you if they knew it's $50 just for you to come out.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think it's a disservice on the profession to charge that consultation fee because, again, the whole purpose there, to your point, is rapport building. Is seeing what their expectations are. They may not even hire you, and now they're out $50. And typically when I schedule these consultations, I always put aside an hour because you're not going to get to know me gain any type of comfort in a 15-minute time interval. It just doesn't work that way. Some people say, "Hey, I just want you to take a look around, whatever." Other people want to get to know you because your home is the most private, the most I'm lost for words, but basically, it's the most intimate thing you can do is cleaning somebody's home. I know things about my clients that their own family members will never know, right? Because simply because I clean their home, and also as far as for business perspective, I've always told every client, every employee that I've had that trained under me, I say always whatever problematic areas the client is pointing out to you, no matter how immaculate they're, because I've been into some immaculate looking homes, but yet the client says my home is dirty. Whatever they say is bothering them, it's important to notate that, because no matter whatever you do in their house, you may pay attention to other things that they didn't even notice. But if you didn't take care of the thing that they specifically pointed out, it was like you never did anything at all.
Yeah, we found out in commercial, it's very much transactional because you're in there in the evening, nobody's there. But in a house, it's personal.
Hmm.
And they need to know you. They need to know who's coming in their house. On the commercial
Hmm.
side, you have references. Do you have insurance? Okay, great. We've talked.
Hmm.
But in a
But
house, so I'm with
but
you.
even then, I have one commercial client that prefers for me to clean during working hours.
Mhm.
And because they're very security, whatever, and I don't mind. But when you're facing those type of, attitude matters. You know, I know my vacuum cleaner is so annoying when I clean their office. However, they say, they love when I come in because, I'm always smiling. I'm always in a positive mood. I'm like, hey guys, happy Friday. And they're like, happy Friday. And then they'll just tell me, oh, it's such a breath of fresh air when you come in, because not only are you cleaning our space, but you're so friendly, you make our life easier. And I'm like, oh, thank you. There was one time I didn't go because I have personal things going on. And when I came in, they was like, we thought you quit us. I was like, why would you think that?
The commercial side is interesting because I always ask if there was a keypad to get in. I always ask,
Hmm.
I want our number just for my people. And they were
Yes.
like, why do you want that? I said, because I don't want to be called if we come Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and something's gone missing Tuesday night, I don't want to call. We
Yeah.
weren't there. And
Absolutely.
and then the other things you can tell who eats Chick-fil-A 3 days a week by their trash can in their office.
Yes. Yes.
They try to hide it, but the trash tells you a lot, doesn't it?
Right. And then it's funny. Actually, one of the offices, I had to talk to the office manager and said, "Hey, just FYI, Ants is always going into this particular office because they're always leaving food out. Just FYI." And they was like, "Oh, okay." And sure enough, after I communicated that, it was no longer an issue.
Yeah. It can be, yeah, that can be a problem too.
Hmm.
So who cleans the house of a cleaning executive who owns a place?
My daughter. That's me and my daughter. What I started to do, I created a system. So she maintains the basic cleaning. Like my daughter can clean better than most adults I know. The girl is good. And during the summer, I put her to work. But she handles all of the standard cleaning. And then I get to pick a room a day or a week and work on the deep clean. And then when it comes to the kitchen, I meal prep once a week because I'm always busy. So Sunday after church is when I'm cooking up a storm, and I cook enough for the week and clean up after that. And then we're just in and out.
Like that. I always like to look at previous jobs any of us have had. So
Hmm.
you go from basically Navy Exchange Service Command to a digital marketer to now.
Hmm.
So you've told us how we got here, which is a cool story. What did you bring from those jobs?
Okay.
Mindset, skills, anything like that to Five Diamond Cleaning Service?
Okay. So when I used to work for the Navy Exchange, I had a lot of wonderful mentors. I was actually I started at the store level. I started as a temp hire, and I ended in headquarters. And basically through the upward mobility program, I learned the importance of customer service, um, chain of command, and supply chain. So all of that, and retail sales, right? And also my mentors were like, listen, we're giving you these books because we know you'll use them. And they started giving me a whole bunch of business books. and I've read them all. My house, I got a little mini library in my house. We read in my house. So then, with the IT company, I was a cold caller. I worked in sales, right? And the difficult thing was coming from retail sales and learning to do cold calling B2B sales was two totally different ball games. And though I understood the process, I didn't quite understand how to apply it, right? And eventually I ended up losing that job, but it was fine because even the owner, and again, that company became my first contract client. He was like, "You worked so hard." I said, "Yeah, but I just, I wasn't getting it. So I understood why you had to let me go. I wasn't producing." Right. And again, when I started my company, sales, when when I gotta eat, I picked that up real quick. I was like, oh, okay, this is how this works. Then it was like, okay, cold calling, sales. How do I sell myself? What can I provide? Kind of like when you came to our BNI meeting when I said, and what I offer you is a breath of fresh air because I'm not selling you the job, I'm selling you the results. It's a breath of fresh air. So
So and who got you into BNI?
Oh, quite a few people actually. So Sam is my massage guy, and for the longest time, he's been, "Hey, you should come to BNI. You should come to BNI. You're a business owner. You should come to BNI." And at the time, this was before a breakup. I was a family of five, running a business, and I was like, "I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time." Well, I had a breakup, so now we went from a family of five to a family of two. I have a lot of time on my hands, but I was like, yeah, I'm still readjusting, right? Lisa, Lisa Wilson, Off Road Realty, she hired me to do a job. Her son bought a house, and she's like, Alana, the job is really bad. And I was like, okay, we'll see. So I go to the property. She was all like, yeah, we hired somebody else, and they said no after they saw the place. And I looked at it, because the previous homeowner, they smoked in the home. They were heavy smokers. And I looked at it. I grew up military. I was like, this is not a problem. And she was like, really? I was like, yeah. And I did the job. And I never met Lisa in person. She just hired me to do the job. Right. I happened to go to a Winterville chamber event, like a class, and we're networking. I'm introducing myself to people, and then Lisa handed me her card. She's like, "Hi, I'm Lisa Wilson," and I was like, because the name rang a bell. I was like, "Oh, Lisa," and she was like, "I said I'm Alana." She's like, "Oh my gosh!" And then we hit it off, and then she was like, "Hey, you should come to BNI." So now I was like, "All right, fine, I'll come to a meeting." And when I get there, Sam was visitors host. So Sam looked at me and he was like, "So who gets the credit, me or Lisa?" And I was like, "You know what, Sam, we'll give it to you because you've asked me for the longest." And Lisa just gave me the extra push. And he was like, "Okay." And after that first meeting, I immediately got the concept. I said, "You know what? I need to be here. I need to surround myself with like minded people because I didn't join BNI for the growth of my business. I wanted like minded friends that I could count on who could understand what I go through." And it worked out. And I mean, not only did I get a lot of lifelong friends, but they're helping me grow my business too. So it was a win-win.
So now that you know what you know with regard to some networking, chamber, BNI, people you're meeting, things like that, what are 2 to 3 things you do regularly to grow your book of business?
Follow up, following up with clients. I read more, even more so than I did, just so I could stay abreast on things. And again, these one-to-ones, networking. Because you'd be surprised just having a regular conversation, something will come out and then somebody else will catch it. Oh, hold on, you're struggling here. Oh, I can help you out. This is what I did, this is how I got here, and da 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 da. And I'm like, oh, like, I'm doing a lot of things in Five Diamonds that I never even considered. Even even like I just did a little bit of everything. And before BNI, I built enough rapport to where I can say yes or no with the client based on, how well we get along during that first meeting. But BNI was like, okay, that's good and all, but this is what you really need to look at. This is what you really need to consider. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. And instead of trying to do everything, I'm like, you know what? This is my niche. I'm going to stick here and I'm going to grow this. And it became, the clientele became long term. I got, more quality and all of the good things. So yeah.
And that's something that a lot of business owners forget. Well, they don't forget, they mess it up, is they ask for every client. And no, the one-offs will find you, but you ask for the people, and you mentioned it earlier, you ask for the people that appreciate your service instead
Hmm.
of like, yeah, my house is clean, but Alana cleaned it. And it's even better cleaned when she does it. So now when they have people over, when they're entertaining, they don't worry about that anymore.
Actually, so it's funny that you say that. I have a client. I cleaned her house. She runs at home daycare service in her home. And this particular day, she forgot that I was coming, but I have a key. So, I just let myself in. She's like, just do what you can. It's my son's birthday. I got an emergency out in this other town, da da da, whatever, right? So I cleaned the house. And when I came over to the next time, she's like, "Oh, Alana, you wouldn't believe it. I got so mad." I was like, "Why?" She's like, "I knew you cleaned my house, and I came back and it was dirty." I was like, "What?" She's like, "But I knew that you came because I was looking at little details. These are things Alana do that I know that she was here." And sure enough, these things were done. So I knew I had to put the accountability on my family. How dare you? And I said, you know what? I said, we'll come up with a rule together. I said, tell your kids anytime they mess up my work, I'm going to charge them a candy tax. And she was like, and then the kids were like, a candy tax. I was like, yeah, I'm going to raid your pantry and take all the snacks. And they was like, oh no.
So let's go back to the customer service stuff you were referencing earlier. When do
Mhm.
you know when you put a potential new client's mind at ease during your walkthrough with them and conversation? When do you kind of are you starting to get a sense of when they're like, oh, I do need to hire you?
Okay. So I always tell it when we schedule the consultation, I always say, yeah, we're scheduling so you can show me all of your problem areas and I can show you any additional area of opportunity. And typically and also never overpromise. I'm very realistic. I'm a realist. So I don't promise perfection. I say I strive for perfection knowing that I'm not perfect. So when they show me their problem areas, I can do a little demonstration or I can give them some tips on how to prevent it in the first place so it's no longer a problem issue. And I guess the knowledge, that's what makes them comfortable. There's like, oh, she's very knowledgeable in this area. And then also when I point out other things that they would have never thought to look at, they're like, oh, you're like on it, so that's how they get comfortable. And then of course my winning personality. I'm just a laid back person. Sometimes I turn into cleaner therapist. Like
Very much so. But at the end of the day, though, and that's what one of the things business owners miss out on is that's what people are paying for
hmm
is knowledge, suggestions, ways around things instead of like, well, Alana just said, okay, I can do that. She shows up. We don't talk at all and she leaves. And I've accomplished things, but not a lot. But when you give them those tidbits that they're paying for the quality
hmm
and knowing that I don't have to worry, I can scratch that off my list.
yes, but also each client's goals are different, right? You got the client like, well, when it comes to residential, you got the clients whose lives are busy and they just need things taken care of. And then you got clients who needs to be taught, how do I maintain my home? And I help them out with that. And then they get to a point where they're able to maintain it themselves. And they say, okay, well, you know what? We'll hire you for deep cleanings when we need it, but we got it from here. So it's about what are your goals and what can I do to help you achieve that goal?
But again, that only happens with a nice in-depth conversation, doesn't it?
Hmm.
If my notes are correct here, in 2009, you enrolled at Tidewater Community College.
Yes.
What was the plan?
I majored in social science because I had aspirations of being a lawyer. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to study law.
And how long did it take you to realize not my path?
Well, I've always been fascinated with law. I find law so interesting. Like I'm the type people like to watch true crime. I like to watch court cases. If I go to the courts just to sit there for the day just to hear the different cases, I'm at home. I'm enjoying it. But I think when I got pregnant with my daughter and my husband, her father, was out on deployments a lot because he was ex Navy. I just didn't have the time becoming a new mom and dedicating all this time to school. So I ended up dropping and just focused more on my work, which was retail. And now that I'm a business owner, the time the cross that time has passed. I'm no longer interested in pursuing that. If anything, now that I've worked for myself, I don't really dream of working for anybody else anymore. So now I'm actually gearing towards, okay, let's get a chain degree. Let's kind of expand this out more and see what happens.
So we will know that your business has made it when we start seeing you in courtrooms watching a lot as they scan the people that are watching. Like, wow, there's Alana again.
No, we'll know five diamonds is has made it when Alana is not the cleaner, but Alana is the CEO.
There you go. I like that. I like that. All right, so we're moving into our no overthinking round.
Okay.
Snow or no snow? Which
No
one are you a
snow.
fan of?
No snow.
Even though you're able to get around in snow.
Yes, I'm able to get around the snow, but it just messes up my schedule.
Now, being a Navy, your ex was in the Navy, right?
Yeah, so oh
Okay.
gosh, I can't escape
So
the Navy.
where all did you move? Where all did you live when you were Navy?
Okay, so actually I grew up Navy. So I grew up Navy and I married Navy and I dated lots of Navy. I cannot escape the Navy. I say, okay, I was born and raised in California, but I've lived in Mississippi. I lived in, obviously I'm here in North Carolina. I lived in Florida. I lived in Arkansas. I lived in Japan.
Best place you lived in your Navy life?
In my Navy life, oh, and I lived in Virginia. I would say the best place would be Virginia because I'm a married young adult and I'm figuring out life outside of my.
Gotcha.
And
And good.
then
And the
the
worst place
best
you lived?
oh, first place that I've lived, Texas.
Whereabouts? Whereabouts?
Oh, I lived in Lubbock.
Lubbock. Yes.
Lubbock,
Okay.
Texas. No,
All
thank
right.
you.
Okay. Gotcha. What is something people assume about your business that is totally wrong?
Hmm. I wouldn't say anybody makes assumptions per se. If anything, they make a lot of comparisons before hiring. They I guess the assumption would be they're assuming that we're gonna have the same type of issues or concerns as the last cleaning company that they've hired before. And when that's not the case, then they're happy, if that makes sense.
It does.
Like, yeah, because in the consultation, the problem areas always stems from what the previous what my predecessor had always missed.
Mhm.
And it's like we take care of those things anyway. And so we, the misconception that they have about us is immediately erased after that first cleaning. And then so long as we're consistent, then they're yeah.
Paying for sins of others can be time
Right,
consuming. Yep.
right.
If your business had a mascot, what would it be and why?
Ooh, if my business had a mascot. Oh, okay, I guess I don't know. I would okay. I want to say maybe an abstract piece of a diamond, not your typical diamond like the jewelry store, but I don't know, maybe like some type of cleaning supply, crystallized like a diamond or something like
Okay.
that.
All right.
I don't know.
If a movie was made about your life, who would you want to play you?
Ooh. Good. If a movie was made about my life, hmm, oh, I would say probably Gabrielle Union because people say I look like her.
I can see that. Yep. I like that.
Even my
Uh
daughter, who says she looks like you.
yeah. Is your email inbox organized or chaotic?
Chaotic.
What does that tell us about you, Alana?
It tells me that you're better off reaching me on the phone.
Yeah, okay. I got you. What's one word people that have worked for you would use to describe you as a boss?
As a boss,
Yeah.
hmm. Let me see. I guess understanding because I don't micromanage, but I do. But I trust and verify.
Go. The celebrity's house you would like to clean on a regular basis would be whose?
Ooh. Um. Let me see. Celebrity house that I would like to clean on a regular basis. Somebody old. Oh, hmm. Ooh, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Okay.
I would want to clean her house.
All right. I like that.
Mhm.
When you say things to your daughter, are you hearing your mother or your father in your head?
Oh my gosh, both of them. It depends on the subject. It depends, but my parents are more strict and I'm more laid back unless we're talking about school. Then I sound like
And how long did it take you when as your daughter was growing up, when you would say something, you would stop and go, "My mother would say that or said that to me in the past."
Oh my god, I never thought about it, but there was one time an exchange was recorded. Like we were on a family vacation and there was a recording and I watched it. I said, "Oh gosh." I was like, "Oh my gosh, not me." So,
Love those moments. I've seen a couple. Yep. All right. So, what are you most excited for
oh my
about your business for this year?
oh, I'm excited. This year we're focusing in, on intentionality and growth. So basically, I'm being more intentional with time and resources. And I'm really excited to be working with my BNI buddy, Bradley. So we're gonna start the interview process of hiring people mid-February, and we're starting small because I got some takeaways from the last couple of people I've hired. So I'm really excited for that process, and I'm just yeah, I'm super pumped about it.
Well, good. So, you are to the point where hiring is inevitable.
Oh, I have
Good.
because I guess what happened was I've had such a bad experience with one employee that I started developing avoidant behavior. in the business and just, I would easily become overwhelmed to say, forget it. I'll just continue to do it myself. But realistically speaking, I cannot continue to do this. My business will not grow. I personally believe my business reached its peak with just me. So now if I wanted to expand more, I have I
Yep.
have
And
to just
to grow, you have to work on your business, not
right,
100% in your business.
right.
If somebody watching the show today is thinking about starting their own cleaning business, commercial or residential, what's one or two things they need to think about and or have in place?
I would say I would say they need to think about cleaning supplies for sure. And basically cost, because it's very cheap, but it can get very expensive if you don't know, if you're not strategically going into that. And also just do it. And I say that because the first thing you should do in order to develop your niche, try a little of everything. And once you do, you can easily decide what you do like and what you don't like. Like I remember I cleaned a pet grooming place one time. One time. And they wanted me to come back. I was like, yeah, no, it's not for me, but thank you for thinking of me.
But that's important. Not only even going to college, let's rule out what I don't want to do. Because we're always like,
Exactly.
hey, let me make a list of 50. No, no, no. Let's make a list of what you don't want to do. And that
Right.
list will get a lot smaller, won't it?
Yep. Because once you make that list, then it's easier to hone in on the things that you do want to do
Yep.
and just become more proficient at it.
Well, good. All right. So, folks, we've been putting Alana's phone number on the call here. If you're in the Greenville area, please give her a call. She does something that most business owners should do is it's a free consult. And that's huge because a lot of people charge and sometimes people hang up on them and some people take them up on it. But my guess is very few people have said, oh, free. Yeah, I don't need you to come out and talk to me about free. It's like, no, I'm coming out. We're going to chat about that. So, congratulations on getting to 2026 and look forward to hearing about your growth. Because I'm assuming the next time we have you on, it'll be a real good story. 3 employees. I've already expanded to this, and this. And I've actually visited the local courthouse one day because I just wanted to watch a trial go on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Well, congratulations on everything. Thanks for being on the show. We will see everybody next time on Capital to the Coast BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.